let's just face it. Online dating is dead. It's so bad right now that I am going to just go ahead and honestly just swear myself off of it altogether. I tried it all. And it's not like I didn't meet anybody, but I'm getting just the wrong kind of people along that want to go ahead and, talk, because basically culture and how things are in social media on the internet has changed everything. Now we have this coming up. The latest bogus dating term, which is called whelmed, has us crying fatigue from the New York Post. They say that dating in 2020 comes with an unusual obligation to keep up with an entire lexicon that's updated every 3 minutes with quippy terms meant to encapsulate every conceivable type of heartbreak. So now the latest tedious entry is called whelming. And in a Self magazine essay, Pacha Braithwaite says whelming, quote, is what happens when my matches spontaneously lament about how overwhelmed they are by their other matches instead of, flirting with me. Instead of talking about something outside of the actual dating apparatus, the guilty party will, quote, vent about how they're juggling so many potential paramours on so many sites on a date with an actual potential paramour. Well, see, the guys aren't allowed to do that because in the old traditional dating rules, oh, God forbid you say that you're talking to some other women. And how will the women respond when you do that? Well, you know what that's going to be. Then they talk about here about whelming as now longing us for the days when ghosting was a quaint novelty. So the Post has compiled a compendium, they call, of the worst dating terms of the past decade: cougar, catfish, and Netflix and chill. Well, those are all put together. I mean, the thing is, people are out there and they're just, the thing is, dating is in such a bad place because of the fact that nobody wants to take it seriously anymore. And because there's an ulterior motive for women and men to be on dating sites in the first place. You know what it is now? It's called simping and e-girls. That's what we're talking about. Simp Nation, TikTok's new soft boy club. This story I learned from some other videos that I've been watching, and I never really knew what the word simp was. I just learned about it only 2 weeks ago. And I'll tell you what, the concept of e-girls and simps makes all the difference in the world. The women have now been allowed to think that they don't have to go and do jack shit to find a guy to give them what they want, because they don't want to go through the dating process to get what they want anymore. They, not all, but many, they want to go and go through the dating services, the dating apps, in order to find guys to manipulate, not get anything, not to give anything to them and get everything from them. And we're seeing that happening so much. And the guys are becoming such beta males at younger ages that, you're seeing not so much Generation Z guys, but millennials and some of the youngers that, listen, okay, you play games, you want to play video games, you want to go ahead and, get an anime, you want to get into the Marvel, DC stuff, you're not worried about trying to put yourself in a certain position to kind of be looking, you're not doing so many things that are so much guy things, going outside to play and, playing sports and, just having a beer with the guys and bonding and friendship and things like that with fellow brethren of the manhood, things like that. So an alpha male thing, obviously, toxic masculinity, all that's being put into play, and everybody's getting really caught up in that. But the thing is, guys shouldn't be able to be guys again. And that's what the biggest problem is, that we're seeing an example online, which is the worst representation of guys of all, the simps. And that's why the Generation Z people, I am so thankful for calling this shit out. So Simp Nation, it's a TikTok soft boy club, they call it. It is a fresh Gen Z term mostly used as a joke, but it has a lengthy misogynistic past. This is from Mel Magazine, which obviously they're going to do the twist on this because they don't want to go ahead and say that. They want to have men being much more emasculated than masculated. They want guys to not have a pair of balls. Balls in the purse, they want that more often. They want the balls in the purse taken away and never to be brought back on every guy they could possibly get. That's what's going on now. Now, in this particular, I need to go and get the story of what a simp is. Here's what it is, folks, if you don't know what it is. The word sounds pathetic, they said, but it's intentional. Rhyming with the word limp, the simp quote unquote, is someone who overvalues women at least by another man's estimate. He essentially worships a vagina of subpar quality. It's all right there in the name. Simp, an acronym, it stands for someone / sucker idolizing mediocre pussy. Much like a cuck, simp has evolved past his original, more precise definition and is now another catch-all misogynistic term seemingly aimed not directly at women, but the men who value them. Listen, I'm not going to diss the women. It's not their fault. The women are smart enough to go ahead and play the game as they see fit. And the guys just need to be smarter about it. But as long as there are guys out there acting like simps, then it hurts guys like me that are, with a different ulterior motive. Actually want to go and date. I'm just saying. And I don't want to just date and compromise. Me, I'm just too damn picky. That's all there is to it. I know that. And that's my problem. I will handle that. But I want to speak to the rest of the people out there because I see, listen, and you're fine if you want to go ahead and do things to compromise to find relationships. That's good. But what's happening here is awful. So Urban Dictionary, defines a simp as this. This is a great definition of it, and it's true. And you can see it common all the time. There's a lot of beautiful women that are happy to have the wall, that online barrier, so they don't have to go ahead and do anything particularly special, having to go on a date, having to go ahead and be courted. Some women just don't want that because they don't want to go to it's like the guys that do not want to be rejected when they try to ask a girl out. Well, the bottom line is you have to be rejected. You have to go through rejections in order to find the one needle in the haystack that actually is who you want. Dr. Robert Glover wrote the book No More Mr. Nice Guy, perfectly explains it. You have to go through the rejections. You have to go through all that. You have to be a guy and ask for what you want. You cannot be afraid of what a woman thinks when you go up to her. She knows you're trying to go look for her. She might actually probably can even smell that you're horny for her. So the woman already expects that. So just go with it. Do not try to act like you are not that kind of person. Do not be the nice guy trying to act like that. Nice guys are simps, and that's exactly what he's talking about here. Urban Dictionary says a simp is basically someone who gives redundant and over-the-top attention to women that are of far less value than the attention or praise given. Now, this is a better definition because, yes, there is a point where they talk about how it's usually women that are of average attraction. But this goes for all women. The women and the kind of worship that they're getting from some of these guys is ridiculous. And it's unfounded for. These guys just need to grow a spine and realize, yes, everybody gets that whole idea. Every guy gets to, sometimes they find a girl they find like out of their league. But for me, I've learned it wasn't that was out of my league. I said to myself, it's a lot of maintenance because there's a lot of women that are gorgeous. But then, you need to go ahead and be able to live a certain lifestyle and be able to follow the type of lifestyle that she has because, women can be very spontaneous. They can go ahead and change moods on a whim and they could do things that'll just, they might change their lifestyle altogether just because it's just the way the wind blows. So you have to be able to go and be careful. If you find a woman that is attractive and you find as the woman of your dreams, know that you're going to work your ass off to hold on to her and to get her attention. That is fine. That is the way it should be. You should be challenged to find the woman that you want to be with. But these guys right here, they're going for girls that they feel like, oh, they're just, I can get a girl like this any time of the day, anytime I want. But then they're also putting too much value on beauty. And that's another thing I keep reading about is that we look at beauty as too much. We're not looking at the inside of the person. Absolutely right. Now, moving along, they also make mention of the secondary definitions of a simp in action as, quote, a man that puts himself in a subservient / submissive position and under women in hopes of winning them over without the female bringing anything to the table. This applies the same to the guys that are acting as friends. But then this is worse than trying to act as friends. This is saying, well, I'll just do whatever you want. Just love me, please. That's what they're doing. It's stupid. Second, a man that puts too much value on a female for no reason. And then a man that prides himself with chivalry in hopes of getting sexual gratification from women. Well, we all know what that is. Nice guys trying to act like they're gentlemen. You know what that is? It's bullshit. I know because I was trying to do the same thing. But then when you get the actual relationship, if a woman does appreciate you acting like that for a short time, you trying to act nice and acting all gentleman-like, that gets old, because then you can also tell when you're doing it and you're not being genuine. And that's the other thing. The women can all detect that. I know I get that from me too. Trust me. And then a square with no game than rolling out the red carpet for every female. So yeah, spending money, which there's a lot of guys that probably have some money. They just feel like we can just throw money at somebody and that's what it's going to get. But that's going to get the false kind of attention that you want. Then they continue to say that in some contexts, simps are the sort of nice guy who deserves being called out. A guy whose sole interest in a woman is his sex, who expects in return for basic decency. It more frequently seems to be a guy who simply treats women well or just not like trash. The bottom line is, it is a guy that wants sex. If they don't want sex, then I don't know, they're not sure who they are themselves. But I believe what's happening is the guys do want to go ahead and get laid with that girl. They want to go ahead and put her in bed and have her in bed, but they're not going to do the right thing. They just don't know what they're doing. Nobody's giving them direction. And nobody's telling them, stupid, leave her alone. Or you know what? Or act like a man if you're going to have her. But you know what? Once you screw it up, leave her be. Next person, next woman, get out of all this. So there we go. Tweet right here, very interesting. Dress as sexy in 20s. Nobody's ever going to claim you. Is claimed it's because he's a simp. Dress as sexy as a mom. You're a mom. How dare you? Your kids will hate you one day. Why are women's choices always centered around men and children? Well, that can be said for whatever. And women, and that's the thing now. Women are probably being told, don't worry about being married and have kids. Don't worry about having a guy. Look, I understand if women are going to want to be much more controlling of what they do and much more independent. But, keep in mind that, many women do want to have kids someday. Well, you know what? Your biological clock only allows you so much time for you to go and do that, unless you don't want kids. If you don't want it, then please feel free to make your career, do what you want to do with your life. But, there's something to be said about why women are allowed to be able to have kids when guys don't have the opportunity. We were not made that way, and that's the whole point. So simps are very important, and I'll tell you, it's something I think about when it comes down to, it's tough. It's tough for guys right now. If we're just trying to be somewhat on the level, listen, I just want to be honest with women. I just want to be honest. We're not even allowed to be doing that, because even if I'm honest with them, it doesn't matter, because anything that even thinks of sex, it's, first of all, it's like the bullshit detector. As soon as you talk to a girl online, the bullshit detector comes out immediately. And then, what's the response? One of three things: rejection, the rare time they'll actually want to go and talk to you further because there's something that they want, and they feel, okay, you're catched, you're what I want. It's sometimes completely shallow on vanity. I know this because when I've driven women on Uber, they'll go through Bumble and they'll go through other websites, other apps, and they're talking about what they like. And some are looking shallowly at looks. And that's what some people will look at. And those guys are not, they don't have all the things built together, because they're probably not worried about, having to go and do the extra mile. When a guy has got a certain look that is absolutely appealing to a woman, then a guy might just feel like, well, he doesn't have to put all the extra effort, because the woman will just be drawn to him like a magnet, and that's all there is to it. And, they're also talking about the fact that the women are not willing to go ahead. Why even bother going ahead and going to the trouble of dating somebody to try to get to know them better and see if they're somebody that you actually feel like you're compatible with? Some women are being told that the effort, why even go through the effort of dating? Just get the money that you want. Get the money. And that's not right. But these are the kind of things that are being said right now, and it's unfortunate. I don't like seeing all this, but that's what's happening now. And in this story, they come ahead and talk about that so-called simps aren't hated, but because of their perceived weaknesses, it's rather the very concept of the simp, a guy who willingly surrender his masculinity in order to please a woman, conveniently supports their narrative that women only want to manipulate and control men for their own selfish ends. There is a certain amount that do. Don't say that there isn't. I'm not going to say there's a minority majority. I'm just saying there is a base. And many of them might be online dating or on Periscope, Snapchat, IG, TikTok. That's what it is. In this context, this writer says, and finishes up and says, simp hate isn't about the man after all. Yeah, it's another scapegoat for MGTOW misogyny, and that is men going their own way. They reference Simps frequently on their subreddit, and it's a typical example of how the term has been used in the last year. So men going their own way. I'd like to be part of the MGTOW group. Thank you very much. So the writer concludes, you don't even have to be in a relationship. You just need to be a man who considers a woman to be a person of complex thought, nuance, and value that is more than just a mediocre pussy. Okay. Listen, it still comes on the fact that men, the number one lesson needs to learn is you need to respect women. And the way you respect women is by not playing down and thinking, oh, well, if we just go ahead and kiss her feet, roll out the red carpet, and just give her everything, yeah, she's not going to respect you for shit. She wants a guy she can respect, right? She wants a guy that actually will challenge the status quo, that actually can stand for himself, that's trustworthy. She is not going to be trusting in you if you act like that. Simp. It's funny, that word, but I'll tell you, it fits so well, and I'm glad there are stories out here that are being talked about this. I'm so happy to hear about this now. The simp phenomenon is a real thing. Guys are finally being called out on it. Please, like other people say, quit spending money on e-girls. You want to spend money on a girl? Then you spend it together on something that you guys are getting the joy in doing together. Or the gifts that you want to give because they actually mean something. A token of your esteem to her. Keep that in mind this Valentine's Day, too.